Joining us now, South Carolina's Lindsey Graham, the top Republican on the Senate Budget Committee, who says the bill could be paving a path to socialism. Senator, welcome back.
Thank you.
You commissioned the Congressional Budget Office to project how much Build Back Better will cost over the 10 years, assuming that the programs that are in it, the spending programs that are in it, go on for 10 years and are not, as in the case with child care, just for 1 year.
Right.
The CBO found, instead of adding $200 billion to the deficit, it will add $3 trillion to the deficit. But Senator, the White House says that's fake, because if the programs are extended, they'll find ways to pay for them.
Well, give me a plan to pay for them then. President Biden said the bill was fully paid for. Vice President Harris said it was paid for. Schumer, Pelosi, Secretary of Treasury Yellen. The CBO says it's not paid for. It's $3 trillion of deficit spending. It's not $1.75 trillion over 10 years. It's $4.9 trillion. What does this mean? The House should revote. The vote in the House was based on a fraud. This bill doesn't cost $1.75 trillion. It cost almost $5 trillion. It doesn't add $300 billion to the deficit. It adds $3 trillion. There is not a plan to pay for it. If there is, I missed it. So give it to me. Give it to the American people. Before we vote in the Senate, show me how you pay for this bill. And you know why I wrote a letter to CBO? Because Joe Manchin came to me and he said, I think this bill is full of gimmicks, that these programs won't go away, Lindsey. And if you score them for 10 years, I think the bill will double. Well, it didn't double. It was almost 2.5 times. So I hope that this will be a showstopper for Build Back Better.
But in 2017, President Trump and all Senate Republicans voted for the tax cuts then that added $2 trillion to the economy. And in fact, you talk about budget gimmicks. It used the same budget gimmick there, for instance, saying that individual tax cuts were going to end in 2025. Here's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on that.
The plan they proposed and passed into law, the 2017 tax cuts, were $2 trillion, which were not paid for in any way, shape, or form. That didn't seem to upset them at all.
Senator, does she have a point?
Oh, no, not really. I like giving money back to the taxpayer. I don't like spending more money than we did in World War II, and that's what we're doing right now. This bill, Build Back Better, is $5 trillion. It's not 1.75. It will add $3 trillion to the deficit. When they tell you the bill is paid for, they're lying. When Nancy Pelosi brought it to the House with a CBO score of 1.75, it was a lie. When she said it was $300 billion to the deficit, it's a lie.
Respectfully, what Jen Psaki is saying, and a lot of Democrats are saying, is that when President Trump and you
what's that got to do with anything?
Let me just finish. Passed the 2017 Trump tax cut.
Yeah.
That was a lie. It wasn't paid for.
No, what happens is you can't go beyond 10 years in terms of the budget window. We voted knowing that cutting taxes we believe would be good. I never said that cutting taxes. I voted for cutting taxes. I'm against expanding the government. They're telling you it doesn't cost anything, Chris. Well, the CBO says it costs $3 trillion. Joe Manchin, if you're watching, you were right, Joe. You got this right. It is a lie. It's $4.9 trillion, not 1.75. Okay. It's $3 trillion. So Joe Manchin was right. Now, what the hell are you going to do about it? If you say it's going to be paid for, give me the offsets. Do you raise taxes by $3 trillion? Do you cut the government by $3 trillion?
Let's talk about what's in the Build Back Better plan. Families in your state of South Carolina with 2 children, on average, now spend 21% of their income on child care. The Build Back Better plan would cut that to 7% of their income on child care. Pre-pandemic, 14% of children in South Carolina lived in poverty. By blocking Build Back Better, you'd end a child tax credit of up to $3,600 per year per child. Senator, just as a practical matter, won't that hurt a lot of families in your state?
As a practical matter, my families in my state are getting crushed by inflation. 6.8% inflation number came out Friday. It's the highest inflation rate in 40 years. So it makes your paycheck go less. It's crushing people who are working. So if you pass Build Back Better, it declares war on fossil fuels. It gives tax credits to buy electric vehicles made by union plants, which hurts BMW and Volvo. This bill, Build Back Better, will be gasoline on the inflation problem. It destroys the ability to extract fossil fuels. Gas prices went up 58%. The last thing I'm going to do is add more burdens to working families in South Carolina. And here's my message to the Democratic Party. Quit lying about this bill. They should revote it in the House. And Senator Manchin, you were right. I hope you'll stand up and stop this madness. We need to stop Build Back Better before it destroys this country.
All right, let me talk to you about another issue. This week, 14 Senate Republicans voted with the Senate Democrats to set up a process, not to vote to increase the debt limit, but to set up a process so the Democrats by themselves could vote to increase the debt limit. You were not happy about those 14 Republicans, the way this played out, and you blasted Senate Leader McConnell for setting the GOP up to, quote, get shot in the back. And then you said this, quote, it's pretty obvious to me that this will not be received well by the Republican faithful, including Donald Trump. Senator, are you that worried about former President Trump and his base?
What I'm worried about is that for 4 months, the Republican Senate said we would not lift a finger to help the Democrats raise the debt ceiling. We would make them use reconciliation, which is they can do by themselves, to raise the debt ceiling because that's the process they use to spend the money. At the end, we did not make them use reconciliation. We changed the rules of the Senate in a House bill. I don't like that a lot. I like Senator McConnell, but here's what happened. 70% of Senate Republicans voted against this, and every House Republican but one voted against it. What we did is promise one thing and deliver another. It was a mistake.
But, sir, I mean, in the end, the Democrats are going to end up raising the debt limit by themselves. All we're talking about here is setting up a process so they can do it. Is that really such a big deal?
It apparently was to every House Republican. It was apparently a big deal to 70% of the Senate Republicans. It's a big deal to me. The way we did this is we literally changed the rules of the Senate and a House bill. We did not use the reconciliation process. But here's my point. If we're going to be successful in 2022, we're going to have to work together as a team. And here's what I would say every Republican. If you want to be a Senate Republican leader in the House, a Republican leader in the House or the Senate, and you don't have a working relationship with Donald Trump, you cannot be effective. So I hope we'll get on the same page here.
But, you know, what we're talking about here is something a lot more serious than the process to set up the debt vote. If you don't raise the debt limit, the country defaults. If that happens, it tanks the markets. It probably puts us in a recession. It means that things like Social Security checks and veterans benefits don't go out. Do you really want to play politics with that?
Every time we raise the debt ceiling, we get something for it, generally speaking. I wanted to have some budget reforms. Nancy Pelosi, the last time we raised the debt ceiling on Trump's watch, wanted more spending. What we said as a party is we're going to make them use the reconciliation process to raise the debt ceiling. The Democrats caused this problem. They needed to fix it. If you do it, if you help them, you're legitimizing this spending. So it really is not about the process as much as it's about keeping your word. We let a lot of people down. Senator McConnell's been a great leader on many things, but we're going into an election cycle where the wind's to our back. We can't do this again. But when you look forward to this party, Donald Trump is the most consequential Republican in the entire Republican Party, maybe in the history of the party since Ronald Reagan. And if you're going to lead this party in the House and the Senate, you have to have a working relationship with Donald Trump or it will not work.
Senator Graham, thank you. Thanks for coming in today. It's always good to talk with you, sir.
Thank you.